Today, we're talking about the weakest link. We're diving into a part of business that's so critical, but honestly, often surprisingly fragile. I'm talking about your suppliers. If you get this part wrong, your whole company could be on the line. So yeah, let's dig in. All right, let me ask you something right off the bat. When you think about all the things that could threaten your company, a bad marketing campaign, a flaw in the product, you name it, what's the one thing, the single biggest risk that most businesses just completely miss?
The answer? It's your suppliers. Seriously, they are the bedrock, the very foundation that your entire product is built on. And if that foundation is shaky, well, the whole thing is at risk of just crumbling. And that really brings us to the big idea for today, right? This concept of your suppliers being your product's weakest link. We've all heard that saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Well, in the world of business, that weak link is so often the quality of the stuff you're getting from the outside.
It's just a simple truth when you stop and think about it. If you're buying components or materials from another company, you can't possibly guarantee a high-quality product for your customers unless you have a rock-solid process for managing what's coming in. You've got to be able to believe in what you're receiving. Okay, so how do you actually get a handle on all this? Well, it all starts with understanding the map of your business, what we call the value chain. This is basically the blueprint that shows you exactly where suppliers fit into the bigger picture of creating value. Put simply, the value chain is the whole series of activities that, in the end, adds value for your customer. It's every single step, from the very first raw material all the way to the final service that makes someone say, "Yep, I'm happy to pay for this."
And breaking it down like this is so important. See, some activities, like actually building the product, they directly add value for the customer. But other things, like procurement or buying the supplies, those are just costs. Yeah, they're necessary, but they don't by themselves make the customer's experience any better. The real magic trick is making sure those costs are spent in a way that sets up the rest of the chain for a flawless performance.
This brings up a really cool idea, the chain of customers inside your own company. Just picture an assembly line. If you're working at Workstation 4, who's your customer? It's the person at Workstation 5, and it's your job to hand them something perfect. Well, that exact same logic applies to the companies you buy from. They're just the start of your chain. And once companies really grasp this interconnectedness, it caused this huge shift in strategy, a total game changer, really. We've moved away from just treating suppliers like a simple transaction, and now the focus is all on building deep, strategic partnerships. The difference is like night and day. The old way, it was basically a fight club. You'd pit a bunch of suppliers against each other and just give the job to whoever was cheapest. The new way is totally different. It's all about collaboration, about building long-term relationships with a smaller group of partners you can really, truly trust. So how does this partnership thing actually work? Well, it's built on a few key strategies. For one, you might do what's called single or dual sourcing. Basically, you're intentionally working with just one or two suppliers for a specific part to build a really strong bond. It also means you have to evaluate them super carefully, not just on price, but on their quality, their tech skills, and their reliability. And a lot of times, you'll use tech like EDI to link your computer systems directly to theirs. It creates this seamless, real-time conversation that just wipes out a ton of potential errors.
But here's the thing. A real partnership isn't just about picking the right company. It's about investing in them. It's about actively helping them get better. And this leads us to a really practical playbook for what we call supplier development.
And this isn't just some vague idea. It's a step-by-step process. First, you figure out which products are most critical. Then, you identify the key suppliers for those things. Step 3, and this is huge, you meet with their top leadership to get everyone on the same page. From there, you build a joint team of your people and their people to find key areas for improvement. And finally, you lock it all down in an agreement. You see how collaborative that is? It's a real investment because you know their success is literally your success. Okay, but even with the best partners in the world and these amazing development plans, you still have to, check the work. Trust, but verify, right? And this brings us to the final piece of our puzzle today. A really practical and, sometimes controversial tool called acceptance sampling. So why the controversy? Well, think about it. If your suppliers were absolutely perfect, 100% of the time, you'd never need to inspect anything they send you. But we don't live in that perfect world, do we? So sampling becomes that safety net, that verification step that really protects your business. So when is it an absolute must? Well, definitely when you're working with a new supplier you don't know well yet, or when you're launching a brand new product. It's also super important if the stuff they send you could get damaged on the way.
And maybe the most obvious one, you need it if you've already spotted problems with a supplier in the past. It's your quality control safety net.
Now, anytime you do sampling, you're basically balancing two different kinds of risk. On one hand, you have producer risk. That's when you accidentally reject a perfectly good shipment. Bummer for your supplier, right? But on the other hand, you have consumer risk, and this is the scary one. This is when you accidentally accept a bad batch, and those defective parts end up in the product you sell to your customers. Yikes!
And that really brings us right back to where we started. It doesn't matter if you're doing it with deep partnerships, formal development programs, or even rigorous sampling. It all boils down to one thing. You absolutely have to have a smart, deliberate process in place so that you can believe, truly believe, in the quality of the stuff you're buying.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. Think about your own business, or maybe a company you really admire. Is their supply chain a source of incredible strength, or is it a hidden risk, just a ticking time bomb waiting to go off? Because honestly, the answer to that question could make all the difference in the world.